Okay, let's do this. So we're reviewing for Chapter 3 tests. As I've already said, we already did 3.5. We're kind of going backwards a little bit. So we've already done 3.5. So we had 3 quizzes on this chapter. And this is the first one. Let's do this. All right, you're going to have to know these words right here. Look, I give them to you, and I'll give them to you on the test as well. Right, here are the 4 words. Corresponding, well, 4 phrases, I guess. Corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, and consecutive interior. You have to know what's what. So take a look. Look at X and look at Y. Do you remember which one of those? From the list up here. What are they? They're alternate interior angles. Exactly right. Okay, and so write it down. So alternate, let me make this pen a little thinner. Okay, so it's alternate interior angles. It's right up here. You got choices. Okay, you got 4 choices. So don't leave it blank. At the least you could do is guess. All right, it's better if you don't guess. It's better if you actually know how to do it. But my goodness, if they give you choices, at least guess. All right, what about this one right here? This X and this Y. They're on the same side of this, but they're what? Consecutive interior. They are interior. How do I know if they're interior or not? They're between what? Those 2 lines. That's right. Okay, these are interior. Okay, but look, they're on opposite sides of the transversal. That opposite word means alternate. These are alternate interior angles. Okay, they're on the same side of the transversal, and they're interior. We call them consecutive because one after another. Okay, consecutive interior angles. All right, so let's write that. I'll just shorten it. Consecutive interior angles. All right, easy enough. Let's do a couple more. What about this one and this one? They are not both interior, are they? There's one interior, there's one exterior, but they're corresponding. Because remember, you see that group of 4 angles up here and this group of 4 angles down here? Okay, X and Y are in the same spot. They correspond to each other. They're in the same place. So these are corresponding angles. Again, I'm just going to shorten that. Corresponding angles. Just like on the quiz, on the test, I'm not going to give you like 2 of the same, right? So I'm not going to give you 2 of them where they're both alternate interior angles or they're both corresponding angles, okay? You're just going to have one of each. You just got to know which one it is. What about this one? This is exterior angle. And so, yeah, it's alternate exterior angle. It sounds like we remember those pretty good, so that's good. Good news. All right, so you know the names of them. That's great. They didn't tell you anything about those 2 lines. They didn't say that they were parallel to each other, did they? But what if they did? What if, now this isn't part of the quiz, but it's part of what we're going to do next. All right, I'm just kind of reviewing for you a little bit. But what if I put a little arrow here and an arrow right there? Now what's true about these 2 lines? Not equal. Lines can't be equal. We say this all the time. You can't have equal lines. They're this. These are not considered equal to each other. What are they? They're parallel to each other. Okay, they're parallel. So those arrows don't mean equal. Okay, there's no such thing as equal lines. Really, every line is equal. Why? Because every line keeps doing what? Keeps going where? You guys watching? Caleb, you're not even looking up here. Okay. What's a line do? It keeps on doing what? It goes on forever, right? It goes on forever or infinitely, right? So lines, every single line in the world is the same as every other line, okay, if you want to say they're equal to each other. But that doesn't really, it doesn't make sense to say that lines are equal to each other. So don't say that again, all right? They're not equal. What are they? They're parallel to each other. So what if those 2 lines are parallel to each other? What can I say about the alternate interior angles? What would be true about them? They're equal to each other. Now, he's like, Mr. Henry, you just said they're not equal. I didn't say the lines are equal. What did I say? The what are equal? The angles. Anybody awake here? Anybody here today? All right. I see faces. I don't know if you're actually here or not. All right. The alternate interior angles are equal to each other. These are angles, and the measure of the angles are equal to each other. So if this was 30 degrees, what's angle Y equal to? 30 degrees. Again, I'm going somewhere with this, okay? That wasn't really part of these 4 problems, but I'm just trying to get you to understand. Okay, let's skip to number 3. What about corresponding angles? X and Y. What's true about those angles? They're equal to each other as well, so I'll just put equal. What about alternate exterior angles? What's true about them? They're also equal to each other. Does that mean that all these angles are equal to each other? No. What about this angle X and this angle Y right here? Look at it. This is obtuse. This is acute. Is there any way they're equal to each other? No. So what are they then? If the lines are parallel. Okay, that only works when these two lines are parallel. So, right, let's go back to this one. What's true about this angle and this angle? They're not equal. What are they? It's a good geometry word. Starts with an S. What is it? Supplementary. What does supplementary mean? It means they add up to 180 degrees. Okay? Everybody see that? So what if this was just X, and let's say I made this 60 degrees, and what's X going to be? 120. How'd you get 120? You went 180, what? Minus 60. Because these two add up to 180. So if you know one of them, how do you find the other one? You take it away from 180, right? It's like if I had $180 and I gave somebody in here $60, how much am I going to have left over? I'm going to have $120 left over. Just think of it that way, all right? We think of money, it's the same kind of idea, right? These two add up to 180. All right, all of that to get to this next little section right here. All right, what about this? Angle 1 is 115 degrees. So I'll put it in here. So that's 115. They ask you to find angle 8. Okay, this one right here, I'll just circle it. Everybody looking? Trey, you're not looking? I need eyes up here. So look at angle 1, look at angle 8. Yeah, they're equal to each other. Why are they equal? It doesn't ask you why, but give me a reason. They're alternate exterior angles, that's right. And alternate exterior angles are what? They're equal to each other. Look, this is obtuse, this is obtuse. Remember we said every single obtuse angle in here are going to be equal to each other. And also every what? Not just obtuse, but what? The acute angles are going to be equal to each other. All right, that's an easy way to look at it. You don't even have to know the name that they're alternate exterior angles. So this is 115. What's angle 8? It's 115. Okay? Now let's get rid of that. And there we go. Okay. Now, oops, I didn't delete it. What am I doing? I highlighted it. Got to get rid of that and get rid of this. Oops. Come on. It's just a little sliver there. I got to click. There we go. All right. Now I got rid of it. All right, let's do the next one. Look at this one. Angle 4 is 130. So I'm going to write it in here. 130. And they ask for angle 6. Instead of circling it, I'll put a little arc right there. That's right. You got it. Look at 4 and 6. They're consecutive interior angles. What did we just say about consecutive interior angles? They are what? Supplementary, which means they add up to 180. So how do I find it? 180 minus what? 130. And what is that? That's 50 degrees. Okay? And that would be 50 degrees. That's easy, isn't it? It's probably the hardest one on this whole entire little section right here. All right, let me see if I can get rid of this again. There we go. All right, let's do this one. Angle 3 is 60 degrees. So I come over here to where angle 3 is. Angle 3 is right here. And it's 60 degrees. So that's this angle right here. I want to find angle 7, which is this one. Well, look at it. Look at angle 3 and angle 7. They're corresponding angles. And what's true about corresponding angles? They're equal to each other. So what do I put right here? 60 degrees. Piece of cake. Everybody with me? All right, good. Angle 5 is 110. I'll tell you what, let's do this though. Let's get rid of this. Let's unclick this and unclick that. Delete it. There we go. 110 right here. That's 110. What is angle 4? This angle right here. They're alternate interior angles. And what's true about alternate interior angles? They are equal to each other. Another way to look at it would be what? This angle right here is obtuse, right? So every angle that's obtuse in this situation would be 110. Agreed? Is angle 4 obtuse? Yeah. Okay, so that's 110 as well. Really easy. The only work you had to do was, what, 4 and 6, right? 180 minus 130. That was the only work you had to do. All the other ones, you could just look at them and tell that they're equal to each other. So those should go pretty quick, don't you think, when you're taking the test? When you see that kind of stuff? Yeah. 9 and 10 are the same style of problem. Parallel lines cut by a transversal. I'm looking to see if the angles are equal to each other. If they are, I set them equal. And then what's my other choice? Either the angles are equal to each other or they're what? Supplementary. It's my only two choices, okay? So we got to figure out which one is which. And then we got to do a little bit of work. All right? Let's take a look. Look at it just says find the value of x. I don't even have to find the angle. I just want to find what x is equal to. Well, the angle would be easy. If this is 54, what's this angle right here? It's also 54. So how do I set it up then as a math problem? I go 2x minus 6 is what? Is 54. See that? They're equal to each other. Why are they equal? Because they're alternate interior angles. So they are equal to each other. So if I have something with an x, I got to set up an algebra equation. So here's my algebra equation. This angle equals this angle. Everybody see it? So there's 2x minus 6 equals this angle, which is 54. Now I just have to do some basic algebra. This basic algebra is also going to be on the midterm. Remember that? Okay, the first section of this midterm is going to be some of that algebra stuff we did at the beginning of the year. All right, so make sure that you look at that. I got videos on it. All right, go back and watch the videos, for goodness sakes. Okay, it's all there for you. Just go back. You don't have to watch every minute of it. Scroll through it until I actually start doing a problem. Right? I talk blah 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 at the beginning on why I do this, why I do that, but just scroll until I actually do the problem. And those kind of problems are going to be on the midterm. I think I might have even done a review for a quiz on that stuff. Okay, go through that. Right? So go back on YouTube and watch it. If you have not watched a YouTube video this year from me, this is the time to do it. Okay, this is the perfect time to go back and watch those videos. It takes a little time, yeah, but that's what learning's all about. It just takes a little bit of time. You got to invest that time. All right, enough of that. Let's do this. Add a 6, right? We've been doing a lot of this stuff this year, haven't we? Not just on the algebra review at the beginning of the year. Okay, the whole reason why we did that algebra review is so we could do it in the geometry, and we've done a ton of this stuff in geometry. All right, we're doing it right now. Those cancel. I got 2x equals, what's that, 60? Divide both sides by 2, and what's x equal to? 30. And that's it. Is it 30 degrees? No, I'm not finding an angle. All I'm doing is solving for what? Just x, okay? X is 30. It's not 30 degrees. If you put degrees, probably would not mark it wrong, okay? If you put degrees, I'd probably go like this. Put a little x through it just to show you shouldn't have it on there. Now, what about this? Now, I already put the little degree symbol here, so you didn't have to put degrees. But on the test, I'm not going to give you a blank with a degree symbol, right? So what if this was on the test? What should you write? 110 what? Degrees, okay? If it's an angle, you put degrees. If you're finding the length of a line segment, you don't put degrees because it's not an angle, all right? All right, enough of that. Let's do this one. Now, again, how do I solve for x? What do? Do I always set them equal to each other? No, I only set them equal to each other when what? They're actually equal to each other. Exactly right, okay? But what about these two? Are these two equal to each other, this angle and this angle? No, they're not equal to each other. They're consecutive interior angles, which means they are, give me a good geometry word, supplementary, which means what? What does supplementary mean? They add up to 180. So watch what I'm going to do. Everybody watching? I'm going to take these two. I'll take the 5x plus 8 first. And I'm going to do what to the 62? No. I'm going to add the 62 and set it equal to what? 180. See, these two add up. Everybody got it? They add up. I'm not just trying to find that missing angle. If I was just trying to find the missing angle, I would have gone 180 minus 62, all right? But I don't know what this angle is, all right? And I got that x, I got to solve for x. So this angle plus this angle equals 180, all right? And now I just do my math. So 5x plus 62 plus 8 is what? 70 equals 180 minus 70 from both sides. This should be second nature to you now. Yep, 5x equals what? 110. Divide both sides by 5. And x is, I think that's 22, isn't it? So x is 22. And there you go. You just got 100 on the quiz. All right? What do you think? I think I covered that pretty good, didn't I? Yeah. All right, let's keep going then. All right? Because this takes a little bit longer. This one's probably going to be the toughest part of the test. Yes, ma'am. You have a pass? Did they give you a agenda? No? Write it on a sheet of paper and I'll sign it. Right where you're going, what time it is, what the date is, and I'll sign it. All right, so here's what we're doing. It says write the formula. Now, I don't have the test actually. Do I have it? I don't think. Let me see. I don't think I have it right in front of me. No. Let me look one more place. Thought I did. Here it is. I do have it in front of me. I do not ask this on the test to write down the formula. But you're going to have to know the formula, okay? You with me on that? Because you're going to have to do some problems. You're going to have to do this stuff. In order to do this stuff, you're going to have to know the formula. So make sure that you know the formulas. But I am not going to just say write down the formula on the test. So let's write down the formula, though, here. Because we're going to have to use it. We're going to have to do it. Now, right here on the quiz, I gave you 2 problems where you have to find the distance. On the test, I'm only going to give you 1 distance problem, 1 midpoint problem, and then 1 slope problem. Okay? On the quiz, we had 2 of them. But on the test, you only have 1. So what is the distance formula? So distance equals. This is something you have to memorize. I remember on Friday telling you that this was going to be on here and you needed to memorize it. So I always start with this. I always like to start with that. I call that the shell of the formula. Now you got to plug stuff in. What are you going to put in here? x1 minus x2. And then right here, y1 minus y2. So if you remember the outside of it, right, the shell of it, then you just plug in the x's and the y's. Should be no big deal. This is something you have to have memorized. There's nothing I can do for you. If you show up tomorrow and don't have the distance formula memorized, I don't know what I can do. All right? I'm not going to give it to you. You have to know it. Everybody understand that, right? I can say that till I'm blue in my face, and I know somebody's going to come in tomorrow and not even know what that formula is. I don't know what else I can do for you. All right? You got to do it. You got to take some responsibility and learn some stuff. So know that formula, be able to use it. And we're going to use it right here in a minute. But let's do the rest of them. Midpoint, and we're going to put it down here. So the midpoint formula. The midpoint is a point. I say this all the time. It's a point. So it's an ordered pair. So this is the first thing I do is I write an ordered pair. And then it's mid, which means you're going to find the middle of it, which means you're going to divide by 2. So that's how I always start it. I don't know. To me, it's easy to write it like that because I'm just thinking, okay, midpoint, I divide by 2 because I'm finding half, right? Finding where the middle is. Now, I got to do something to the x's up here. Over here, I subtracted the x's. Do I subtract the x's on midpoint? Nope. I add them. This is one little difference. Wow, there's a lot of differences, but it's one of the differences. All right, y1 plus y2. That's it. Again, memorize it. I'm not going to harp on that. Just memorize it, please. Slope. We've done this recently, right? We just did 3-5. We've done a ton of slope. So slope should be pretty easy for you now. Remember what we put on top? Y what? Yeah, you could go 1 minus 2, or you could go 2 minus 1. That's how books usually teach it. but it's got to be in the right order, okay? Whatever order you do for the y's, you got to do the same order for the x's, all right? Yeah, and I'm going to go x2 minus x1. All right, so that should be easy. We've done this a lot. We've done it just recently, all right? We just had a quiz on it not too long ago. We reviewed for the quiz. A lot of talking. We reviewed for the quiz on Friday. We did this a bunch of times. You should have that down pat right now. All right, let's use those and do this. All right, let's find the distance between these 2 points. Here we go. I think we got time to do both of them. All right, here we go. First of all, I write down the shell. Did any of you guys actually do this? Write this stuff down first before you start plugging the numbers in? Yeah, I like to write all that stuff first, okay? Now, all I got to do is just plug some numbers in. So what do I do? x1 minus x2, right? So which ones are my x's? The 4? The 6 and the 2. Right, the 6 and the 2. The x's are the first ones. So I subtract them. And it doesn't matter. For this one, it doesn't make any difference what order you subtract them in. All right, so I'm just going to go 6 minus 2. What do I do here? Subtract the y's, which is 4 and 1. And again, it doesn't matter what order you subtract them in. All right, equals, don't forget the square root. Don't forget it. 6 minus 2 is 4, and then you got to square it, plus 4 minus 1 is 3, and you got to square that. Okay? Yeah, this is going to be 16 plus 9. 16 plus 9 is 25. What is the square root of 25? It's just the whole number 5. It's not the square root of 5. I can't tell you how many times I've seen students do that throughout the years. It's not just you guys. All right, throughout the years. People just don't know anything about square roots, I guess. The square root of 25 is not the square root of 5. It's the whole number 5. 5 and the square root of 5 are completely different numbers. What does it mean to take the square root of something? It means what number times itself equals 25. And what is it? What number multiplied by itself, the same number, equals 25? 5, right. 5 times 5 is 25. So that's 5 right there. Sometimes it doesn't come out that pretty. Sometimes it comes out a little uglier. So what you do is you just keep it under the square root. All right. If it comes out nice and even like this, go ahead and do that. But this one right here, I don't think it comes out. I don't have the quiz in front of me. But we'll do it. So I write the shell. And then I plug stuff in. Again, it doesn't matter what order you plug them in. I'm just going to go to the first one minus the second one. So the x's, 2 minus what? Negative 4. Don't forget the minus negative. Don't just put 2 minus 4. It's completely different. Let's do the y's. So it's negative 5 minus what? Negative 8. Good. Equals square root. 2 minus negative 4. That's a 6. Let's do this in our head. What's 6 squared? What's 6 times 6? 36. When you square something, you don't multiply it by 2. You multiply it by itself. Right. So it's 6 times 6. Everybody see that? All right. I just skipped that step. I think we can do that part in our head. Do you? Yeah. All right. Plus. What's this going to be? Minus a negative goes to plus. Negative 5 plus 8 is 3. And what's 3 squared? That's 9. And what's 36 plus 9? It's 45. Is there a number multiplied by itself that equals 45? No. Okay. Now, 9 times 5, but are they the same two numbers? No, they're not. All right. So I'm just going to leave it like that. Now, there is a way. Hope you're paying attention. There is a way to simplify this. I'm not going to worry about it in this class. You're going to do that when you do Algebra 2 next year. Okay. But there is a way to simplify this. For you guys, leave it like that. That's perfectly fine. Pretty simple, right? Yeah. Got to know the formula, though. If you don't know the formula, you're sunk on this. You won't know what to do. Look, I've written the formula down basically 3 times today. So make sure you memorize it. All right, let's do this one. Enough harping about that. Midpoint. So let's write the formula out for midpoint. Remember, it's a point. It's an ordered pair. All right, so I draw the parentheses, put a comma. What's the next thing I do? I put over what? Over 2, over 2. I just did it a few minutes ago, right? It's up here. There it is right there. What do I do right here? I do something to the x's. What do I do to them? No, it's not minus. It's midpoint. It's plus 4 plus 6. And now, what do I do to the y's? 8 plus 2. I add those up, okay? 8 plus 2. Let's simplify it. 4 plus 6 is 10. That's over 2. 8 plus 2 is 10. And that's over 2. So what's my midpoint? It's 5 comma what? 5. And that is my answer right there. Piece of cake. Easy. Am I just saying that because I'm the math teacher? I get accused of that all the time. On this problem right here, am I just saying that it's easy? No. I'm saying it because what? Because it is easy. That's right. It is. Okay, it's not hard. Everybody should be able to do that. That is not hard. And I'm not saying it's easy just because I'm the math teacher and I've been doing this for years. All right? It's because it's easy. All right? I promise you. Now, there are some times where I've said some things were easy, and maybe they weren't that easy. This one is not one of them. This one is easy. All right, let's do another one. Midpoint. All right, I always like to put the ordered pair first. I put over 2, put over 2. Everybody can do that, can't you? All right, and what do you do to the x's? Add them up. So it's negative 2 plus, right, you're adding, plus what? A negative 6. All right, we'll figure that out in a second. What about the y's? What do I do with those? 5 plus negative 3. All right, let's figure out those. Now we do the math. Keep it over 2. Keep it over 2. Negative 2 plus negative 6. It's negative 8. And I'm letting you, if you have a calculator, I'm letting you use it. So if you can't do that in your head, you could use a calculator. But for goodness sakes, you should be able to do that in your head. All right, there's no way you need a calculator for that. What about this? 5 plus negative 3. It's positive 2, right? 5 plus negative 3, that means you subtract them. Take the sign of the larger number. It's positive 2. We're not done. Don't leave it like this. If you leave it like this, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to mark it wrong, all right? Everybody hear me? Simplify it. What's negative 8 divided by 2? It's negative 4. And then what's 2 divided by 2? It's 1, and that's your answer. That's the only acceptable answer right there. That's it. I'm only going to accept that answer. Make sure you put your parentheses. Make sure you put your comma. Don't just put 4, comma 1 and circle that. Don't do that. Put it in parentheses. All right? Okay, let's keep going. Slope. We're almost done. Folks, find the slope between them. Well, this should be easy because we've done this a lot lately. So what's on top? Okay, 7 minus 3. Don't say 7 and 3. I got to do something to them. What do I got to do to them? Subtract them. Okay, so I go 7 minus 3. I do the y's and put them on top. Okay, remember, the y's go on top, the second number of each ordered pair. You subtract them, put them on top. Make sure you subtract the x's in the same order, though. So if I went 7 minus 3, what am I going to do to the bottom? 3 minus 1. Good. Now you're getting it. 7 minus 3 is 4 over what? 2. What is that? It's 2, and that's it. That's all there is to it. Man, this stuff's a lot easier than I thought it was, isn't it? Yeah. Let's do it one more time. Again, on the test, am I going to give you 2 slopes? No, I'll just give you 1, okay? Same thing with midpoint, same thing with distance, okay? I just give you 1 of each. All right, let's do this one. Slope equals, subtract the y's. Let's just go in the same order since we've been doing it that way. 3 minus what? 0. 3 minus 0. Let's subtract the x's in the same order. Negative 1 what? Minus 5. Good. 3 minus 0 is 3. Negative 1 minus 5. Add the opposite. Remember that? It's negative what? Negative 6. What happens here? 3 goes into both of those, doesn't it? 3 goes into this once, 3 goes into this twice. What's my answer? Negative, don't forget the negative, -1/2. Now look, when you have a fraction, does it matter if you put -1/+2 or 1/-2? All three of these are exactly the same. They mean the same exact thing. Or I could put the negative right in the middle. Either one of these is acceptable. Everybody got it? All right, don't forget the negative though, if that's the actual problem. All right, one more. Was this the same quiz that you took? I think it was, isn't it? This one right here is actually part of 3.5, isn't it? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, because we've done this before. Let's do it again. All right, might as well. We got time. Why did I put that on a 3.4 quiz? Did the quiz say 3.4 and 3.5? No, it just says 3.4. I'm pretty sure that was from 3.5. Well, that's weird. How did I just discover that? Anyway, no big deal. Let's do it. It says, use the following points to determine whether the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Look, I bolded them, I underlined them, all right? You got 3 choices. You got they're parallel, they're perpendicular, or they're neither. So what do we do? A, B. So what am I going to do? How do I know if 2 lines, let's use these markers again. How do I know if 2 lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither? How do I know? What do I look for? The slopes. That's right. I got to look for the slopes. So if they're parallel, what's true about the slopes of these 2 lines right here? They're the same. What's true about the slopes of these 2 lines if they're perpendicular? They're good. Negative reciprocal. That came out quick. That's what I want to hear. All right, negative reciprocal. So let's find AB. Let's find the slope of AB. I'll put a little AB right there so I know finding the slope. All right, we've done the slope already. All right, I'm up here. Let's do the slope already. I'm sorry, we've already done the slope, but let's do it again. All right, the slope of AB. Well, here's A, here's B. These are the 2 points right here I'm trying to find the slope of. All right, so how do I do that? Subtract the y's, put them on top. 2 minus 4. Subtract the x's. 3 minus what? No, it's -3. It's 3 minus -3. All right, let's do the work. 2 minus 4 is negative. No, it's -2. Right? Add the opposite. Right? Subtract, take the sign of the larger number. What about here? Minus minus. That becomes a plus. What's that? 6. Reduce it. It's -1/3. So that's the slope of this line right here. Now what do I got to do? Find the slope of CD. That's right. Okay, find the slope of CD. All right, so this is 2 points. I got to find the slope of that. So let's write slope. I'll put a little CD here. You don't have to do that, but I like to do that. The slope of CD. Well, subtract the y's. -3 minus -4. And then do the x's. -2 minus what? Is that a negative? It's a 1. It's -2 minus 1. Minus a negative, what happens there? Plus. -3 plus 4. What's -3 plus 4? You subtract them, take the sign of the larger number. It's a 1. What's this? -2 minus 1. Add the opposite, so that's a -3. Now we're ready to compare the slopes of both of these lines. Pretty easy to see the comparison, isn't it? It's -1/3 here. Is that the same thing? Is that still -1/3, even though the negative's on the bottom? Yeah, we just talked about it a minute ago. All right, so that's -1/3. That's -1/3. So what's true about these 2 lines, A, B, and C, D? They got to be what? Parallel to each other. Okay, and that's your answer. And this is why. All right, this right here. This and this. If you say parallel, you can't just go through here and just circle parallel and that's it. Or you can't just write parallel and that's it. You got to show me why they're parallel to each other. This is why. Because this slope equals this slope. Everybody good with that? Okay. Yeah, we went over graphing before. We went over X and Y intercepts. So make sure that you go through on Friday. We reviewed that quiz on 3.5. Please make sure you go through it again. I mean, it's been a weekend, right, since you've seen it. Go through this stuff, go through section 3.5, and you should be completely prepared for this test tomorrow if you hit all that stuff, because everything that I've covered is going to be on the test. There's not going to be anything more, right? There's nothing extra. Everybody good? I'm looking at the test. Yeah, this is being recorded. I told you it was. Yeah, I've hit everything that's on the test, okay? There's nothing that I haven't hit. Say what? There's no homework. This was a quiz. I just went over a quiz. It's not a homework. Okay, please be ready for the test tomorrow. Do well on it, okay? All right, that's it.